Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have a 1v1 against Ignore the Smoke. I'm playing as Dutch German Corps and this is hell in a very small place. My opponent will be fielding Entente. So before we get started with the opener, let me just say if you do like this sort of thing, please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. It does help out the channel, and we have kind of been struggling a little bit lately to get any more visibility than, well, this tiny channel already doesn't have. So with that in mind, I do have a big push headed toward Bravo. My intention is to fight it out over there, trying to deny what's usually a safe zone for the other side of the map. We do also spot an L-17K, and this immediately is why my PAH-2 Tiger is hanging back. This L-17K is a wonderful helicopter hunter. 90 points, of course, does make it also a valuable trade for my opponent to lose his L-17K into my Tiger. I can tell it is spotted. We're retreating as quickly as I can, but my Gepard is in the middle of the woods, and we're trying to use those stingers. I should have had the gun on. I didn't. I turned it back on just then. It was off to try to avoid radar and, well, seed planes. But that trade does happen. Down goes my Tiger, and I'm very sad man. In the meantime, we do have a big push up here. It's mostly just cheap infantry and AMX prees, and most of my points are headed toward the center and the left. So MI-17 from my opponent. I do have, well, actually I don't have any AA here right now other than my Gepard, so I'm trying to get him up and forward, but the MI-17 snebs are going to be going in against Leopard 1-5. Frontal armor should be pretty good there. You can see only 2 points of damage, and if he takes the second volley, which instead goes in at the Martyr 1A3, I would have been quite okay with that, because, I mean, it's a 55-point tank, and I'd rather have that than lose the Martyr. So we can see all of my Grenadiers are getting unpacked here, Notre as well in the AMX Prees. This deck is made for the infantry grind, and particularly for this map, because I just want to be that endless tide of points. I think, actually, at one point in this game, my enemy asked me, well, my opponent asked me if I was running out of infantry yet, and I said no. It was kind of funny. Here comes the seed plane, and you can see now it is a good thing to have that radar gun off, as that Su-7B doesn't see anything worth shooting. My PWI is killed, and that really shouldn't be too surprising. ATGMs in these towns is relatively normal of an experience. I do have Corps Mariners anchoring that formation, as well as Martyr 1A3 shooting in at HT-40s. These guys, 25 points, and those rocket pods aren't, I mean, they're no snab, but they're really not bad for a 25-point helicopter, and we're right now failing to get much damage on him. He's trying to move forward. Rocket pods are online. Martyr 1A3 didn't actually take any damage, so that was interesting. And now we are encountering Smoke's infantry, well, Smoke's IFVs in the woods here. Grenadiers and Notre won't really be able to do all that much against these guys. I mean, it's not really what they're built to do. They're built to be meat shields, so it was a mistake on my part not to have one unit of really good infantry headed up there with them. A single unit of KCT or Corps Mariner would have been nice. We are capping Charlie, hoping to get an early +2 ticking against my opponent here, but I've lost this position, the AMX Pre and the Panzergren, to a napalm plane. Very upsetting when that happens. It's not what you want to see, and that Su-7B is still circling, so we're going to have to get our air defenses up soon, and, well, yeah, it really wasn't the best situation. My Grenadiers and Notre used almost all of their ammunition killing those IFVs, which was just kind of funny. But we do have a nice engagement on Brdskaya Pez. So these guys, relatively effective infantry, I think, well, against lower tier infantry anyway. They're good for holding. And the KWS is able to come in. We do take out that plane, so we can see him pancake down over here. And really, I mean, just look at that. It's just kind of goofy. I love this. I think it would almost be worse if they had a different model and it like shattered into pieces and all that. I kind of like seeing just the pancaked planes everywhere. It's, I don't know, maybe not the nicest thing, but so be it. We're going to take a look for just a quick second at Ignore the Smoke's field of vision. He can't really see much of anything here, but there are Specialny Jednotki that I didn't realize were back here. A decently heavy hold with Mekhanovna Pez and Brdskaya Pez in this side with those long standoff rifles, and then a pretty light center in Foxtrot. I mean, this was... I thought he would have more stuff here. Instead, it's mostly in the woods on this side. He also doesn't have too much of an investment coming through the woods here, so I could have pushed forward. I mean, people usually do push forward from this side. It's probably why there wasn't much there. It's probably meant to hold off an attack heading through the center woods and the right side woods in Gulf. So can't really blame him for that, but I was attempting to take just a passive approach in Gulf while I pushed in other areas, and you can see, because I didn't bring those high performance infantry here or much support, it has been sort of stymied. So my numbers over quality approach is very much not perfect. We did also have some encounters in these woods here. I didn't really want to bring over the KCT quite yet. My Gepard also will not really be able to hold this on his own, so I was calling out a sneb. I didn't realize this until recently, but Dutch can actually call out a 30-point bow 105 sneb on its own. Yeah, okay, I mean, sure, 24 rockets, and they're pretty good at that, so I was just doing that to try and get some fire support as my infantry are redirected. PWI carrying some infantry up to plug this gap. BGS also moved over to try and get some vision in case they start to cross into the open field. So the idea is this is some small trap for infantry. If they try and jump across here, the BGS will spot them, the snub will kill them, and then if I get my infantry there in time, we'll be able to shut that down. T-55As, and these guys, 30-point fire support tanks are sort of like tankettes kind of thing, so I wasn't too worried about them at the time. But Mechanizov and Apez, a double stack is a different deal. My Dornier going down to that fire very, very quickly, but we've spotted them now. I know what we're dealing with, and the Sneb should have been over there trying to take advantage of that when we had them spotted, but we're trying to do that now, and let's see, no angle. They are, of course, hidden before I can get those guns back online. So, the PWI is going to be dropping off, and we had a little bit of a Sitzkrieg here as I'm trying to bring up some resupply for my units on the left, and also get some heavier units over there, as well as sort of plug the gaps here to make sure I could hold before I pushed. A little bit of defensive play, maybe not the best idea, but that's what we're going for. And now we have Corps Mariner and the PWI. PWI should have been behind the Corps Mariner, but these guys are so fast, I forgot that they would run out ahead of them when that happened. But Mechanizovna now eating those Sneb rocket pods, one volley down and no kill, which was a little bit upsetting, but the second volley obstructed. Yeah, helicopters in woods, it's very tricky with line of sight stuff, but the Corps Mariners are moving back into the side, but Sneb, just dang, dodging that missile there, very nice to see, as artillery fire is coming in, trying to get the Corps Mariners and block off line of sight here. So we're moving over into the woods. My PWI is in a losing fight with an OTAB 71, so just, I guess, interesting to see, and the Sneb is now finally killed by, let's take a look at what that was. Looks like that was going to be a silo team, brutally effective, 15-point weapons team there, so nicely played to my opponent. For that, Corps Mariners, though, are going to be anchoring this side of the field, particularly when supported by the KCT, and I need to get resupply out to my Gepard as we're down to one Stinger, and I do want that radar gun off because of, well, just always best to turn it on when you need to, not just blanket statement. So, Natra going up the side, and I'm trying to get some more fire on the Birdskaya Pez in the town. I didn't really realize there was another group here of Mechanizovna, and we are going to be quickly retreating from that fight. Very much not what I wanted to get into. And here's where those Specjalny Jednotki come into play. So I didn't realize they were there. I thought I had this wood section kind of screened out, and I was very much wrong about that. So my defensive posture is trying to prevent things coming from my northwest. And we do have bombing runs coming in that will be able to get some good work done there. But if we take a look, those Specjalny are just waiting over on the side. Hate to see it. Absolutely hate to see it. But we do have more infantry now going toward the center, and so Smoke and I have played before a couple of times. He was previously I Hate Helos, so it's been on the channel quite a bit, and this sort of Sitzkrieg I think was just we're trying to figure out what the other player is doing. We've played enough to make it sort of, well, why aren't you doing this? Something's up. It doesn't feel right. Because it doesn't feel right, we both are trying to be cautious. Leopard Verkenning, though, very long-range support and very nice smoke from Ignore the Smoke there, trying to keep that fire support offline. But a Tornado Bomber coming in, MiG 29912A, Thermo MiG again, and let's see, swing and a miss as the Corps Mariners were moved just when I saw him coming in. Radar plane coming in, and the KWS trying to get a kill there, but no dice, evac ordered before we can circle a second time. But with the Thermo MiG missing, my own bomber doing some pretty good work, we do have the advantage here for just right now, and the Verkenning should be able to finish those infantry off. There they go. Also, I'm not too worried about the T-55A. A Leopard 1.5 should be able to kill that pretty quickly. One shot, one kill. There you go. Yeah, you love to see it. So, other Mechanizovna on both of these sides here were making me a little bit antsy. I just wanted to hold there for right now with Grenadiers AMX Pre. I mean, if you're going to use a deck that has strength in numbers, you may as well get the numbers out in the field first. So, bombing run coming in, and let's take a look. It did manage to wipe those guys out. So that's a lot of infantry kills. It's just cheap Mechanizovna, but it does add up over time. Strop 2 trying to fend off the next one. And there was also, I think, already a Neva Mitt by from, well, M1T, I just call it Mitt. Yeah, that's fine. From my opponent over in Bravo. So this is relatively strongly held. Specjalny, Mechanizovna, Birdskaya. There was more of an investment there than I really could take with that first group. So now we have the reinforcements coming up in YPRs. These guys are excellent fire support. I mean, 15 points isn't that bad. 2 frontal armor and an autocannon is always a nice deal. So I do need to unload these guys, and they're carrying, surprise, surprise, Stoot Troop in 95. So some of my favorite Dutch German infantry actually make it worthwhile to just play Dutch as well, just because of the Stu Troop, in my opinion. And they will be moving up in just a minute. That's not to say that no action will be going on in Fox or Golf as the game progresses. In fact, there definitely will be, but it's just sort of a staged one after another sort of thing for right now. And I don't know, the critical mass of points is a little bit scary, because usually we're getting worn down as the game goes on, and here there was some very light action, but really not that much. And you can see Smoke is now trying to shoot through this gap, but this is what this hold is meant to do. So I have a Verkenning that'll be moving out here in just a second, Martyr 1A3s also, and the Natra can take that fire all day while my bombers come in and get some nice support. So these guys staying alive as long as they did really was a detriment to my opponent, because, I mean, look at that. He moves up, okay, these positions are occupied, let's just go ahead and bomb them, and then there wasn't even a trade there for quite a long time. So able to fend off that attack and feeling pretty confident about it, but still getting a little bit more reinforcing infantry here and on the other side of this section. We do also have more action going on now. KCT and Grenadiers and Natra engaging with Mechanizovna, and here's where I make a very big mistake. So the KCT are probably my best infantry in this section, and I was thinking to myself, if I can just get them into the town, they can use those Uzis to get some very nice fire coming in, but you never want to have these guys moving across the open field, and that's what's about to happen as they step out of the woods just there. 6 men, 5 men, getting shot to pieces in the open ground, and we do have some suit trooping moving around the side, but it's not enough to make up for the pain of that loss. Still, with these sides holding and with the center fleshed out a little bit more, I was feeling kind of confident about this. Specialny Jadnowski in the back line, and that's when they make their move, blowing up my Munkat 1 and moving forward to try and get into the, to cut off, I guess, if I had reinforcements in this push. It is going to be brutal combat. These guys will chew through Grenadiers like you would not believe, and my Stuttruppen and other Grenadiers have struggled getting into the town with the loss of those KCT. Mi-17 also coming up and just pounding into things, also using, I mean, well, packed version of Snabs, I suppose. And the bombing run here is a last-ditch attempt to get some sort of progress. It does damage my Grenadiers, but taking out the enemy infantry I think was a little bit more important at that time. So, I mean, this is good. This is more of a push into the side than the packed player will ever want to see into Bravo. He's having to commit more points there. It's having to take away pressure from over here. And in the meantime, we have Stuttruppen sparring with Brdskaya Pez, which will be, well, in theory, a good engagement for the Stuttruppen, but the 15 strength on those Brdskaya is something that you have to be wary about. I should have moved the AMXs up, but I was microing over on the other side, trying to get these guys in and through. Natra moving up, because I don't care if these guys die, and it's kind of nice if they do sink the enemy fire from the secondary town and from the OTAB 71. Grenadiers moving forward, don't really know what I was thinking there, and the Stuttruppen, unfortunately, are going to be fighting basically to the last man against these Mechanizovna. A 2-to-1 trade there, 20 points versus 10 is not what you want to see, but I do have 2 units of Stuttruppen up and behind, able to take out that HT-40 and prevent that fire support from coming online, which at least is some small blessing. So, in the meantime, you can see I have developed a bit of a weak side here with the questionably failed offensive on the left, and this looks like success, but what I wasn't able to see at the time, so Conqueror's team and Silo is all that there is right now. But, as I said, my opponent has spent on reinforcements. There's a triple stack of infantry moving up, and we will get the jump on them here in just a second with a Stuttruppen, but it's not going to be enough of one. These transports are 15 points, so that is a very nice thing to shoot at, but immediately depositing the other infantry, Stuttruppen missed their second AT-4 volley, and even though we are able to pressure the Conquerors and Silo teams, this is going to be a bad position. Plus, the Neva M1T had enough prior warning because of this Vizyadkri reinforcement move to get out of the way, and that was what I was going for. I saw it fire earlier on and I wanted it dead, but an Mi-35 able to come up and just finish those guys off, and this is very deadly. I don't have anything else on this side other than Gepard A2, and I do need to move forward some reinforcements. Leopard 1-5 is also going up. I was going to try to support here, getting some fire support across, and also you can see the infantry by here. I was thinking, okay, well, we did some good work here. We were able to push in, we were able to force some buys, able to damage the silo, maybe even kill Conquerors if we're lucky, but we're not getting lucky here at the moment. But it's not going to be enough to hold Bravo, so what will happen if I instead go after the woods on this side, support in the middle of Fox, and that was sort of the idea with that switch on the position of the field. So, making do with what we've lost, as this entire side is in fact lost. Very nice answer from the Mi-35s. I was not expecting it at all. But now we have another interruption. There's a push coming in. Ignore the Smoke is trying to pressure me on every side at once. Brdskaya Pez still sparring with a new unit of Stuttruppen and my Core Mariners on that side, moving back. Damage 5, down 5 strength, and they are worried. More Tornado 1DSs coming in, and just look at the dodges on that guy. 1, 2, 3 missiles, no hits, and the Tornado 1DS able to slam into my opponent's formation. So very nice value for me there as well. Suit Troopin are stunned. Getting outnumbered by Birdskaya Pez is never a thing that you want to see, but my Grenadiers are moving up, trying to support a little bit too little too late, and that's okay. As artillery is pounding down as well. I was hoping to get that last man on the Birdskaya Pez, and I think we do. Let's take a look. No, so he would just move back out of line of sight. But that's a little bit disappointing. Corps Mariners are going to be able to buzzsaw through those Birdskaya though, and we have a man caught 1 moving up, trying to get into a resupply here as we have capped Gulf. So Panzerkampfwagen Leopard 2, 170 points is very expensive, but that 3 top armor is just enough to be somewhat resilient against enemy artillery. Gepard A2 supporting here, taking out that helicopter for a pretty okay trade against an AMX Pre, and you can see I am trying to develop this side once again, dumping the Panzergren before they could possibly get into range of ATGMs, and also trying to stem the bleeding on this side. Corps Mariners did great work, but Grenadiers are getting shot through. OTAB 71's really more combat capable against low-tier infantry than I had ever given them credit for. And we have another attempt by Smoke. This is really the meat of the game, the stuff that I love to record, the stuff that I love to play and to see as well. OTAB 71's pressuring here and encountering a nice defensive concave, but this is interesting. So I thought, okay, I might have a gap. My Corps Mariners can try to shoot that gap, and if we can get into it and curve around to the left, but we get encountered by that single unit of Birdskaya Pez and spotted, and that is going to be a very bad thing. I would have loved the Elements of Surprise here, and killing that last unit of Birdskaya was maybe not quite worth it. So Panzergren should have probably moved back, Grenadiers should have probably moved back, my Natra are nearly dead, they need reinforcements, just 5-point infantry to hold that town would have gone a long way, and stuff is dismounted over here, but we are taking some damage sparring there in the woods, and now we have Viziadkri double stack going in against the Corps Mariner, and that is going to be more than enough to take these guys out. These guys, of course, 15-point shock. The group of 2 is very much a valuable way to take out Corps Mariner if you can get this sort of isolated engagement. So unfortunately not able to do that thread through maneuver that I was hoping for. But we do have artillery up now, 100-point artillery, 7 HE power. Not the most killy of anything, but I was hoping persistent fire might be able to get a couple things done. And if we look, there were some speciality, there was a silo. These guys are getting somewhat pounded by that artillery. Silo team goes down. Hey, that's enough for me. That's all I really needed. Natra, meanwhile, are just sort of scouting in force here and getting demolished for the pleasure of it, but I was just wanting to make sure that I could hold on this side. The game against the captain the other day, I was really exploited for not having some defenses on the left side of Charlie, just right down that highway. So it is 206 points to 0. We have managed to hold somewhat of an advantage in Gulf. More bombing runs coming in, just trying to clear out these woods. Let's take a look just in time, and Specialny hammered, Mechanizovna dead, Nivamit is out of ammunition, not able to get kills on my planes, and that was worth it for the Natra. I mean, we got our points back there. We were able to thin out those woods. If I had known how little was there, I probably should have pushed it. Leopard Verkenning following behind all of these infantry and vehicles might have been able to get some work done there, but I was concerned about the HT-40s and the helicopters I'd seen coming around this side. So Panzergren 90 trying to shoot these guys down, and that IMG-3 is able to get some very nice damage there on the HT-40. 25 points and more than worth it if I can get the kill basically for free, but I probably should have spread out these defenses a bit more, had some units sort of stopgap in through the woods on this side. I do have an AMX Pre just as a, if he tries to get around my back, but the Panzergren are retreating as they see a double squad, probably the Viziadkri that killed my Corps Mariner before, and I don't want a repeat of that. You can see, by the way, I have kind of changed my mind on how I do some things. I used to double squad everything all the time. Now it's a lot more of single squads, harder to micro, and that has been a challenge. But when you can make good value out of a single squad of infantry, it's very nice. It's a very nice way to get an advantage in the game. So double squads are still more killy, and they do definitely have their uses. I mean, they were the meta for a while, from my understanding, for a reason. But I am trying to branch out a little bit and get a broader field with more integrated fire support and more single units able to resist status effects and things like that. So Viziadkri moving forward, sparring against Natra, and that is going to prompt a counteroffensive for me, moving my AMXs up, and we're also trying to shoot the gap here. So Padobranki, and it looks like another group of infantry not able to... Oh, no. OTAB 71s and Mechanizovna, and they will get some very nice work done, so all three of my AMXs are killed. The Padobranki 90 are going to suffer, though, as a bombing run comes in, able to dodge the Nevas one more time, and down go all of those very expensive infantry. My Grenadiers, meanwhile, well, and the Corps Mariner behind them still doing this push very, very well. Leopard Verkenning also backing them up against Proletariat on the far side, and I was hoping to claim these woods, maybe to try and push through here, but you can see my counteroffensive has been stalled. Specjalny Jednotki will hold very well against a single AMX Pre, down he goes, and there is artillery fire coming in against my Leopards and Corps Mariners, so we either have to move forward or back very quickly. We cannot stay in the same place. Staying in the same place, of course, is a nice way to die. But BGS taken out by an Mi-17, and we do have Berdskaya Pez moving through the woods. This was terrifying because my Panzerkampfwagen Leopard 2 doesn't have that many places he might be able to be, and I thought I could stop them with what I had, but the Mi-17 support was brutal, losing the Panzergren, and I should have started moving these guys back sooner, but I didn't, and they are going to suffer for it as artillery is pounding that position as well. So the Holden Gulf went from very good to very bad very quickly, which of course can happen, but we have another Leopard 2 headed up here. I was hoping if I can counter-cap Bravo, if I can keep Golf capped, that will get me back to my ticking +1, which is all I need for right now, to try and make sure that I don't start losing the advantage, as Foxtrot is capped for my opponent, so the center zone goes to him, and I didn't realize this at the time, but if we take a look, there's there's a command vehicle and there's a single unit of Padobranki 90 here. That's basically it. If I had just taken everything in Fox and thrown it forward, I mean, Grenadiers, but the KCT and Leopard 115 would have been able to get those kills pretty quickly, and I don't know, I countercap it eventually, but I should have just pushed it. Panzerkampfwagen Leopard 2 is engaged by Berdskaya, and this is horrible, horrible, horrible. I want this guy moved, I don't want him engaging, but you can see that 170-point tank is able to get some work done. Bombing run a little too late, and almost lose the plane as well. So the Leopard 2 has to reposition. I thought about moving back to this side, I thought it might be expected, so I do move him farther over into the woods, trying to stay out of my opponent's line of sight. So Grenadiers and Stuttruppen trying to hold the line in the front against Mechanizov and a Paz Leopard Verkenning, also able to get some shots on, and we do have a whole line of reinforcements moving up and through, trying to round out this position just that little bit more. So there is still a fair amount of time left in the game. We're going to speed things up a little bit as artillery is now seeking for my Leopard 2 in the woods here, and also trying to punish the Leopard Verkenning. Specjalny Jednotki do get into the town, and this is what you don't want to see. If this town is secured by the Red 4 player, then, I mean, it blows open this side as well. I'll have to re-establish a defensive line here. Leopard Verkenning able to get some shots, and we do also have a KWS going in against that SU-7B, who's just able to take down a Gepard before he goes down, and I do finally lose a plane. I lost the KWS to a Neva Mit, so they do finally get a kill. It's not dodged the whole game, but it was really kind of devastating to lose that Gepard. On this side, we have established counter cap. Grenadiers and AMX is screening BGS here as well, just hoping that my opponent won't come after me with what has to be, yep, a lot of Vyazkiri Berdskaya Pez. If you'd taken this and pushed it, I mean, that's what this game is, though, is you have to know what you're headed for, you have to try and gauge your opponent's strength, and if you do so incorrectly, it can really be a severe detriment. So, we are back to +1 ticking, and my Corps Mariners engaging with Prom S's and HT-40s. I'm going to be moving them back. I want to keep these guys alive, but ammo box hit, I was thinking, okay, well, oh, never mind. Turns out ammo box hit just means they have less ammo, not zero. So unless they'd already used some, yeah, it was kind of rough. So one of those guys still had ammunition, and I definitely paid the price with those Corps Mariners. So AMX Pre shooting in, Gepard A2 able to get in range, and that's 50 points of helicopters that won't be seen or heard from again anytime soon. So we do get some good revenge. But Cluster now coming in, and my Leopard 2 does not like that. The 3 top armor is being kind of resilient, but we're down to 6 strength. We're down to, ooh, actually a nice dodge there. AMX Pre is suffering a little bit, and it looks like we might be okay. So more shots raining down, almost the end of the volley. I was terrified of this, by the way. I was sitting there going, no, 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 there's 2 strength, and just able to survive. So better lucky than good sometimes, and now we have managed to round out that defensive side one more time. So holding strong, and no doubt infuriating Smoke the entire way, which was kind of the intention. This is around when he said, you have to be running out of infantry, come on. I think he was as well, but Specjalny do get a nice shot on the Leopard. Optical failure on the scout vehicle is never what you want to see, and they get to retreat as well, so I was very unhappy about that. But more HT-40s, and I don't know, I think this was a double-edged sword, right? Because these guys have done some great work. They're denying the Panzergren and Natra in the open field and forcing me to move up to try and get them, but Martyr 1A3s will get some good shots on there. Looks like 3 strength lost. My Verkenning went down, though, and that was just terrifying. Because light tanks like that T-55, the 30-pointer, can get some good work done if you have only Natra in the way of it. Panzergren Martyrs still chasing. and this was maybe a little unwise. You can see I had that nice defensive concave, and it's since spread out. I do still have some men on the side trying to prevent that going around attack again, as what happened earlier in the match, and a Sneb moving up as well. Just, I don't know. I don't think these guys are the best buy ever, but I was just trying for something, and that T55 is just really annoying. 30 points of sheer annoyance right there for anything moving across the open field. In the meantime, we do encounter Brdskaya Pez, and down goes a Martyr. Panzergren and the AMX Priest trying to shoot here, but they're so badly outnumbered, and the Brdskaya Pez have just such a meaty health bar, it's going to be a bit of an issue. And as soon as I lose the Pre, as soon as these Mechanizovana come in, that's going to be all she wrote pretty much for that forward push. I should have pulled back everything now. I was hoping to establish some sort of frontal line there. I've been singularly unable to push against Ignore the Smoke this entire game with any sort of success. We've pushed up and come back in Bravo. We've pushed up and been forced back in Golf. We've nearly lost our CV in Golf. It's been one hell of a game, and one that's, I gotta say, the sheer amount of points spent on Natra is probably hurting me as much as it's helping me, right? Because, yeah, I have more bodies, but it also means they're dying, so I'm losing value, losing value, losing value. This was actually kind of funny. So another round of Cluster going in, trying to get the Leopard 2, has been healed up a little bit by the Munkot 1, but here it is, and Cluster takes out the Munkot 1 just far enough away from our Leopard 2 to make sure that he stays alive. Another one immediately ordered as we take just a little bit of chip damage there and are able to survive a second round of Cluster aimed at that tank. There is a counter cap coming down now. It is 272 points too late, though, so we do have a nice advantage. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, if this is what it has to be for the rest of the time, at least we can hold. Stute Troopin sparring with an Oat Tab. I don't know why. I think they missed their first AT4. And this is another advantage of double-stacked infantry, is they get the second shot really quickly, so you have a little bit of security against things like that. But more helicopters going up and around the side, and I don't have the proper equipment to handle this, right? So Mi-17 versus Stute Troopin, but my guys are panicked. Their accuracy is in the pits right now, and they're not able to burn down that helicopter nearly as quickly as they usually could. Down to 4, stunned, AMX Pre trying to help, but really not getting that good contact. So the Browning, not really as good as a mini-me, clearly. Tornado 1DS coming in. This was a bit questionable. I wanted to kill that Mi-17, but I lost my bomber, killing a cheap helicopter out of spite. So 35 points for 130 or so off the Tornado. Not really worth it. But I was hoping it would at least help me hold here for just a minute as I'm calling in more and more and more and more and trying to get something moving in the center. Foxtrot is still just barely held. I had no idea of this at the time. I expected, 10 fire support vehicles, a couple units of infantry up here, and it just wasn't there. But I was beginning to suspect I might be able to push it just with the sheer number of helicopters and other units on this side. Leopard 2 takes a hit. Mi-35 did get one of his Kokon missiles off. Second one on the way, and it's a swing and a miss. Leopard 2 down to 1 strength left. And there's the kill. So we are able to take out that Mi-35. Single unit of Brdskaya Pez is moving up, and my Leopard 2 should have been retreated entirely out of the zone, but I was trying to be a little bit cheeky here. We're retreating, reverse moving back, and the Brdskaya are able to go right through the Natra and get a kill. So I did finally lose Golf, and this is looking grimmer and grimmer as time goes on. So I have to make a move somewhere. If I'm going to lose Golf, I have to make up for it, as Smoke does have a +1 ticking. Padobranki are engaging now, but Leopard 2 A4NL is a wonderful tank, at least in my opinion. 145 points of awesomeness, 21 AP, and 19 frontal armor. And those Padobranki should get worn down. In fact, they are retreating. Natra as well. This is just spam, I'll be honest. This is not my best look here. They should be out in front as well, and they're not. But Smoke coming in, and I was trying to get them up and forward before pushing into the top part of Foxtrot. More Cluster coming down, and just devastating work done by it. But we have Panzergren now. Actually, some friendly damage from the blown up Munkot 1. But Martyr 1A3 barely able to get those Mechanizovana. Natra holding the Brdskaya Pez as Panzergren come up to support, and the AMX Prees go chasing against Padobranki. Bit of a weird move, but if these guys are panicked, I mean, this is a pretty cheap way of getting good fire support, and both of them shooting in will melt these guys pretty quickly. So Grenadiers are going to be cresting that hill real soon. We also are pushing through, trying to make sure that there's no reinforcements coming from the right-hand side, as these Brdskaya are attempting to do. Grenadiers do get up to the top. Leopard 2A4 should be moving up there soon. And they weren't dead yet. I was sitting there going, huh, these guys aren't dead yet. That's great. What is this? I wonder what this is. Let's see if we can get a shot on it with the M72 Law and the AMX Prees. And the second that became capped, I was like, oh shit, that's a command vehicle. That's amazing. There's not that much up here. It's time to go. It's time to move. Verkennen coming up. Gepard A2 should be moving up shortly as well. And, well, let's just go for it. Why not? I mean, why the hell not? as there's just way too much infantry on the right-hand side for Specialny to push through. Panzergren, Stuttruppen, YPRs in the back, and I was beginning to feel like, okay, this could be a finishing blow to this game. We weren't able to get the command vehicle, at least I don't think so. Let's take a look. No, he did retreat it back a little bit better than I did with my Leopard 2. But we did kill the Padobranchi. Specialny are causing problems, but as soon as we get the Leopard A2 up there, able to take out that Mi-35, that's when we can really try to seal the deal. I have lost most of my bombers at this point, so there's no punishment for the Birdskaya Pez staying in the open that long, and I wish I had moved the Sneb up sooner, but it is actually going to be attacked by artillery coming in at that Birdskaya, and so far no great effect. I wonder, did I retarget? No, let's see, more of it coming down. Nice use of cluster there against the Gepard, nearly got the kill, and damn, look at that damage off of that single unit of 7 HE artillery. Very wonderful work done there. Grenadiers holding this side, trying to prevent that command vehicle from moving up again. 15 down to 9 off the second shot, and that is why those guys are what you want for fire support. But Cluster nearly able to take out yet another Leopard 2. I mean, yeah, I like these units. They're not the cheapest, but they are kind of resilient, and if I think they're necessary to deal with artillery, then, I mean, sure, we'll use what we have to. Gepard A2 is able to get the kill, and now we see we are cresting the hill over there on that side, and that is pretty much going to be all she wrote, as with an offensive into Gulf as well, that's going to be Smoke throwing in the towel. So very nicely played to Smoke in this game. It was really just tense Sitzkrieg for a little while, but very back and forth in both of the wings. 25-90 kills against 21-55 losses is not that bad either, so really just a close game. Gepard A2 did very well, killed the L-17K. I wish I'd kept the Tiger alive off the bat. Losing him was really kind of painful. Natra and the Verkennings did pretty well. Gepard A2. The Gepard's really just shown in this. I mean, look at the number of Mi-17 kills. Those are 35 points. The Mi-35s are even more expensive. Not to mention Heras and a single Specialny Jednotki that was probably carried in one of those transport helicopters. Bombers did very well. Not as well as I thought during the game, but kills on Padobranchi, kills on Mechanizovna and Brdskaya, as well as Viziakri are pretty nice. Leopard 1-5s did alright. I mean, overall just a mediocre to solid sort of win. So that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.